Hi, the availability restrictions video is going to demonstrate some of the more advanced features of the SLA SOI monitoring system. It begins by creating an SLA guaranteed service, and then we introduce the concept of punishable and non-punishable violations of those SLAs. For example, if we have a service that is not needed at the weekend and a violation occurs, it's deemed to be a non-punishable violation, and in the opposite case, if it happens during the week, it's deemed to be a punishable violation. So why would this be of help to us in an SLA guaranteed system? Well, if you're the customer, why should you pay 24/7 for the service? Or if you're the provider, it's also advantageous to not be punished when it doesn't really matter to the end customer. So let's see how this works. So first of all, we're going to log into the UI and we're going to create a new service. And we're just going to call this the accounting system. We're going to select the gold SLA template, and we're going to customize a number of the settings just so we can demonstrate the features. So we're going to change the service availability restrictions to business hours. This means that any violations that occur outside of business hours, Monday to Friday, will not be deemed to be punishable violations. Now we're also going to change some of the other classifications here. So service data classification, hardware redundancy, and SAS 70 compliance. Now we're going to create two virtual machines. Now the reason we've created those and altered some of these standard settings is so when these get provisioned, they will be provisioned on a host that will support the features that are required. So that provisioning has taken place now, and we can see that for the overall service that it's compliant. So we can look at all of the terms for each virtual machine and see that they're also compliant. And if we look at the violation history, we can see that no violations have occurred. Okay, so just going across to look at our physical environment, on our first node we can see that there's no virtual machines running there, and on our second node we can see that both virtual machines have been provisioned on that second node, and again that's because that node is the only one that meets all of the criteria of the SLA that we created. So we go into our Tashi head node and we run the get instances, so we can see that there's only two virtual machines running, and again we get hosts and we can see that there's only two hosts in our cloud currently. What we're going to do here is just log on to one of these hosts, the one that is hosting our virtual machines, and generate a CPU load. And if we go back now, we can see that an acceptable violation has occurred on each of the two virtual machines. So it's a total of 2 violations for the overall service, and that is because both of those virtual machines are not getting the required amount of CPU time that they should be getting due to the CPU loading script that we're running on the physical host. However, they have been recorded as non-punishable violations because they've happened outside of business hours. Now, not all terms are non-punishable, so some terms such as the location of the service matter at all times. What we're going to do next is try to cause a violation that's going to result in a punishable violation. Okay, so to do that, what we're going to do is migrate manually one of the virtual machines from where it is sitting, and remember all of its terms are compliant where it is sitting, to the other physical server in our system, so that it will generate violations of the location and confidentiality terms. So we can see now that our virtual machine VM1 has moved across to our other node, and VM2 has remained where it is. Now, if we log back in as the customer, we can see that overall now we have actually generated 4 punishable violations. Now, even though we're still outside of business hours, we can see the terms that have been violated at the service level, and on each virtual machine we can see why these violations have happened. So that's basically it, guys. Thanks very much for watching.